just hit record?
Yeah. Hi everyone, this is another 5-minute fiddle with myself, Ben Holder, and my little fiddle. So for this 5-minute fiddle, I thought what would be quite cool is if I had some questions to answer. And the way we're going to do it this time is my darling wife, who films these, is going to ask me 5 questions. 5 questions, 5-minute fiddle. So as of yet, I don't know the questions that Soph's going to ask me. And hopefully that will be a bit more spontaneous and I can give some answers on the spot. Anyway, without further ado, let's go. Question 1.
What's your favourite key, your least favourite key, and why?
Okay. Sneaky. That's a couple of questions disguised as one. I like the flat keys, I must say. If you've been watching a few of these videos before, you'll know I like my clarinet. The keys that, as a violinist, I would usually play in a more violin-friendly key, I quite often will play in a more clarinet-friendly key, and that tends to be flats quite often. So I like E flat. It's, you know, it's just, I find it really interesting. A flat, you know, it's got nice and... Even D flat. If I had to pick one key that is my favourite, I'll go E flat. I do like E flat. Worst key, well, it has to be F sharp major. I mean, luckily for me, not many songs in F sharp. It's just really tricky to get your fingers around. I like to do a lot of runs, and it's quite hard to do runs with. But yeah, need to practice it more. There you go. Question 2.
If you already play an instrument, say classically, how do you then move to playing jazz?
That's a good question. Well, I play classically. I think a lot of violinists do start classically. So in my opinion, I think to really go from classical to the jazz world, you almost have to let go of some of those very precise techniques. And because it's all about being a bit more free, isn't it? Swinging the notes, you know, if you go from classical, you quite often, you know, and then going from this kind of doesn't swing, so you need to let go of that kind of, you know. It is about freeing up. To think of 3 little tips going from classical to jazz. Number 1, don't be so worried about being so precise with the technique and this kind of perfection. You need to let go of that and be a little bit more free so that you can improvise very freely and in a swinging way. Number 2, check out jazz theory, look at the chords and look at how jazz songs are formed. 3, listen to a lot of jazz and let it soak in. And I think that's a great start. To do those 3 things, it'll hopefully get any classical players onto a nice little road of jazz. Yeah. Okay.
If people are starting out in jazz, how would you recommend they build up their repertoire?
So, short and sweet, find a jazz musician you like. It doesn't necessarily have to be a jazz violinist. Generally with the jazz musicians you like, you tend to like the songs and learn those. Listen to those recordings, play along, and learn the songs you like to listen to. That's definitely a start of building up your repertoire.
Do you have any tips for people on how they can adapt their playing to the different genres, like gypsy jazz, swing, trad?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I started off listening to Stefan Grappelli, and Stefan Grappelli with Django Reinhardt. So that was very hot clubby, very gypsy jazz. So the tunes and the style for me in the beginning was the hot club. The more musicians I would play with in real life and the more bands that I would join as like a guest in real life led me to different styles and appreciating other styles of playing. And the more I did that, the more styles that I became kind of accustomed to. For instance, going from Stefan Grappelli gypsy jazz joining the more New Orleans style bands. And then going from the New Orleans style bands to maybe a more mainstream band, you know, drums, double bass, piano. Although the way you play is always going to have its trademarks and little licks, I think for each different style and with each different band and with each different style of the band that you join or play with, then it's worth adapting to that situation and that style of music. Is that right? Was that the question? Yeah?
What do you think is the most important thing that one should think about when being a jazz musician, when playing jazz on stage?
That is a good question to end on, because I actually think the most important thing about being any kind of musician, not just a jazz musician, but for me personally, I just want to have fun. That is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what goes wrong, what notes are wrong, what tunes you forget, whatever. As long as you're having fun. And that fun in turn will come out in your playing, I think. When you watch these performers, I'm a big Louis Prima fan, and when you see him, you can tell he's having fun, and then it makes you have fun watching. So I always try and do things with a smile and with a lot of enthusiasm. Hey, cool. So hopefully those 5 questions were quite interesting. I found them quite interesting. I didn't know what they were going to be, but hopefully I've answered them good enough. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll hopefully see you next time for some more 5-minute or thereabouts fiddle.